All right, wonderful. Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be with you today and talk a bit more about how you can get your business AI ready. As Mary D said, my name is Andreas Welch. I spent more than 25 years in the software industry, working on AI, machine learning, generative AI, agentic AI, what have you. On one hand, helping Fortune 500s figure out what do we do with AI, what's our AI strategy, to building roadmaps and shipping products. Like Mary D said, I recently published the AI Leadership Handbook, your practical guide to turning technology hype into business outcomes. So I would love to start with the following. Let's see. It's early in the morning. Let's all get up and let's stretch a little. You know, this is day 2 of the conference, and while I'm sure many of you have already met new colleagues, made new friends, also introduce yourself to the person standing next to you who you maybe have not met yet, right? There's still a whole day to network. So. All right, so wonderful. Please keep standing. Stay up for one more minute. One more minute. All right, so let's try something else. If this side of the room, the two rows of tables on this side of the room, you can already sit down. Because there's something I want to tell you. Last year, a company called Writer, they're big in enterprise AI, they ran a survey and they surveyed executives and they surveyed employees on how AI ready is our company. So those of you still standing, you're the 2/3 of executives who said, yes, we're AI ready. Right? So the next 2 rows can sit down. 1/3 of employees said, we're actually AI ready. So there's a big disconnect between what executives are seeing and thinking and what employees are actually seeing. And then if you sit down as well, thank you. That's the number of people who can make sense of all the AI news that's happening, that's coming out on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, all the news that we're inundated with, new models, new chatbots, new assistants, new agents. It's crazy. If you follow the news, there's always something new. But what really matters, right? It's really dizzying, making sense of all of this. That's just the news in January and February, the big headlines. So naturally, your leaders, your executives, right, the 2/3, maybe even more, say, yes, we're AI ready and we need to do something with AI. Right? We had several conversations with many of you yesterday who said, well, my VP, director, what have you, said, we need to do something with AI. Even just this morning, I had a conversation where somebody said, well, my VP said, we have budget. Can you find out something, figure out a project that we can do with AI? If the data project, no problem, as long as we can say it's AI. It's great. Right? We've never had that much funding available to do something with AI, to do anything with AI, but it creates the problem of what should we actually do? So maybe if you have followed some of the news over the last couple of weeks, you've seen something like this. We need to be AI first. So CEOs of Shopify, Duolingo, Fiverr, all came out within the last 3 weeks roughly, saying we want to be an AI first company. So that means we're not hiring any new people unless and until you can prove that AI cannot do the job. We're going to be AI first. It's exciting. It's awesome, right? Anybody excited about being AI first, not getting new colleagues, but more agents? No, right? But leaders feel the pressure, right? We need to do something with AI because most likely our competitors, they're not sleeping. They're thinking about what are we doing? How can we improve our business? How can we make it go faster, better, cheaper, right? The same old principles. It's like somebody has a stopwatch and says, we need to do more AI. We need to be AI first. But think about it from an employee perspective, right? If your leaders say, we want to be AI first, no new employees unless and until AI cannot do the job, it's not so great for the culture. So to me, while AI first kind of means we want to be leaner, more agile, we want to work differently, I think we actually need to do something like this, be AI ready. So to me, AI first and AI ready are two different things. Right? We first need to tell and teach our people what is AI, how can you use it, what are the benefits, what are the drawbacks, so they can think about what are maybe some scenarios, some use cases, some good uses for AI in our business. Right? If you talk to people in the business that are running business processes day in, day out, that match payments to invoices, that talk to customers, work with customers, build products, ship products, they know where the issues are. Right? It's a matter of how can we get them AI ready and learn about what this technology can do. And then, yes, then we can become AI first. We can bring in more and more innovation, more and more AI. But to me, maybe to you too, AI first and AI ready, they're not the same thing. But readiness is what propels this AI first mindset. So we can think about ways of where can we do things differently, where can we use technology. I've been giving a lot of workshops and trainings over the last year and a half, and many of them were prompt trainings, right? Prompting. How can I become a better prompt engineer, or how can I better use our internal version of ChatGPT? Many large businesses have taken the APIs from OpenAI and Google and Anthropic and put a nice UI on top of it, like an internal version of ChatGPT that's approved, where no data leaves the company. They said now, from a transformation office, transformational leadership point of view, we need to tell our people that here's this tool and they should use it, and please use our internal version and not ChatGPT public. So we don't have the risks of data leakage and so on. Now, what's been interesting to observe over the last 6 months is that the conversation has changed from can you teach our people how to write better prompts to how can we actually use AI as a brainstorming buddy in meetings, in executive meetings. Can you help us build an agent that ingests a lot of different information about the market, of our competitors, market opportunities, and can this be a sparring partner in executive meetings, in board meetings? Totally different from what is chain of thought, tree of thought, prompting, and how do you do that? So to me, that's a sign of companies maturing and becoming more AI ready, but that needs to happen at all different levels of the company. So to me, the underlying question that we should be asking, no matter if you're in a leadership role or if you're an individual contributor, how can we actually adapt what we are doing? How can we change what we're doing? There's so many tasks in any of our roles where we can think, are they even necessary? Why are we doing them to begin with? Is there a technology that can help us solve that problem, do it again, better, faster, cheaper? Chances are there are technologies that do that, right? Many, many vendors have been adding AI over the last 2 years. So there's hardly a product that you use on a regular basis that doesn't have any AI. But asking, does this have AI? I think is only the first question. And even in some cases, not necessarily the right one, right? The question is, what is the problem that I have? And how can I solve it with technology? Then you go look, is there a product that maybe has some AI that helps me do things better, faster, cheaper? But as one guiding question, how can we adapt what we're doing? Right? So that also means encouraging our team members and empowering them to look for these opportunities. Think about what you are doing in your daily work. Where are opportunities to bring in tools, bring new tools? Are we using all the features in the software that we have a license to or a subscription for, right? Chances are maybe you're 1 or 2 versions behind, maybe you're not using that yet. So learning a little bit about that, and again, encouraging our team members. To me, is step one of becoming more AI ready. Now, obviously, agentic AI, AI agents, that's the big buzzword of this year. It's been the buzzword since the end of last year. But if we look at how we've historically moved through different technology cycles, right? You see the bottom left, rules, right? That's the way how software has been programmed for, what, 4, 5, 6 decades. If this happens, then do that. Pretty structured, pretty straightforward. You know what is happening and exactly why, because in this condition, it didn't do what it was supposed to, right? Super easy for troubleshooting, but obviously not that great when it comes to adapting to new situations, right? So we've moved from instructions to then more machine learning, looking at patterns, recognizing objects and images, extracting information from documents, and what have you. So instructions to patterns to now agents where we set a goal. I want you to build a strategy, maybe a marketing strategy for this and that product, build an ideal customer profile. What are the wants and needs that this person has? How should we talk to that person? Maybe give me some suggestions for a short video script or for some creative work, for some ads. And the agent will go do its research, come back to you and say, here are my suggestions. Do you want to accept them, or which ones would you like to tweak? So we're moving to goals, right? I think that's a big, big shift in the industry. Instructions, patterns, goals. So we are also delegating a lot more agency to these tools. Right? How many of you use ChatGPT, Claude, and like on a regular basis? Right? Awesome, see a lot of hands, right? So to some extent, we're already delegating that agency. We say, can you help me figure this out? Can you do this for me and give me some suggestions? Whether it's can you tidy up my email, or help me brainstorm and think through some things. But you see that we're going to delegate even more agency to these systems that will act on our behalf, that will now also be able to do research on our behalf. So how do we get our business ready for that? Again, I think a lot of it will have to do with trial and error, with encouraging people to learn about this, but also be realistic about what software can actually do. Right? There are always these big promises. This technology will solve automation, RPA, right? Tasks that are repetitive. Machine learning will solve problems where we can cure cancer and find patterns in data. It'll solve that once and for all. Hasn't really happened yet. So there's a good chance that even with things like agentic AI, it's a big promise, but it's on all of us to make that real in our business and in our work lives. There was a paper that Microsoft came out with about a week or two ago about the structures of companies that are building with AI agents, where we give a goal, we say, go figure this out, come back. Once you've reasoned, you have access to some tools, you have access to some other APIs. And there are 3 distinct things that stand out for me. And I can assure you, startups building right now, new companies founding, they're instilling that AI-first mindset that other CIOs are talking about. So they are very, very small and nimble teams. They use AI, they use agents to do part of their work. Can you help me build that strategy? Can you help me research customer information? Can you help me build a profile on what my competitors are doing? So number 1, right, the first step is delegating that agency, delegating tasks to these agents. Can you help me go figure this out? Maybe 1 agent, 1 task. The next evolution will be that there are multiple agents working together. Right? Maybe it's your marketing agent working with your finance agent. Marketing agent says, I want to run a campaign. Finance agent or controlling agent, what's my budget? Can you give me a little more? Can we pull in some from the next quarter? We didn't use everything in the past quarter. So different agents collaborating. And then, at least what Microsoft says and what I see as well where this is going is agents working with each other and humans coordinating a lot more and orchestrating a lot more, saying, I want you guys, you agent, your agentic team to figure tasks out for me on my behalf. So more reviewing, more orchestrating. I think the last step, and that might still be a bit further out, is having agents of different companies working together. Right? You can think of a procurement agent that wants to buy raw material, and a sales agent that sells the raw material. And instead of a procurement person, a salesperson getting on the phone or exchanging emails, these agents can figure this out. And where can we ship the product from, and what kind of discount can we give you? Maybe what line of credit do you have? Can we help you there as well? So things are moving relatively fast. Definitely, if you follow the news, right? There's some adoption lag and adoption curve naturally that happens. I would say that's about 18 to 24 months, right, for many large organizations to explore technologies like that. Part of becoming AI ready as well, right, for IT organizations, for data teams, figuring out what is that technology, how does it work, is it useful, where can we use it in our business? But we need to get started, right? But then when you think about AI and AI projects, one thing that's been pretty consistent for the past 7, 8 years is that actually 80 to 85% of AI projects fail. Gartner came out with that stat in 2018 and said 85% of projects don't deliver the value that they originally set out to create. It's been consistent. They came out with that again last year and said generative AI, 80, 85% of projects don't deliver value. So that means only 15 to 20% of things that you might be asked to work on, that your companies work on, also that your competitors work on, will be successful this year. So where do you place your bets? Right? What are the right things? What are the most important things to look at, to explore, and to bring into the business? Because again, not everything will be successful. And we heard this yesterday from one of the other speakers so succinctly, right? It's never really because of the technology. Right? It's mainly because of people. There's still people in the business, right? Again, we want to be AI first. Come on, that's awesome. We're not hiring new people unless and until AI can do the job for us. Well, I'm not so excited about that, right? I like my job. I like some of the things that I do. I like the people I work with. That's why I'm here. So maybe you're not as excited about AI. Maybe your peers are not as excited about AI. And not even that, right? There are some hopes, there are some promises that are made that, yes, AI will help us solve this big problem. Could be data, could be a business problem. And then you start working on it and you realize, well, actually, maybe we don't even have the data. We need to get it first. If we have it, maybe it's not as complete, it's not clean, it's not fresh. Right? Things that you probably see on a daily basis that maybe others in the business don't have that front row seat to and might not realize. So yes, data is a big thing as well. Technology, I think that's the smallest one. That's a sliver. Right? Technology is there, it usually works quite robustly. But it's a matter of how do we bring our people along and how do we get our people AI ready in that sense. Now, AI readiness is not just something that happens overnight. It's not just something that happens to your employees, not just something that happens to you. It's actually a key leadership task. So Gartner released a few more numbers 2 weeks ago, roughly, and they said 77% of CEOs say that AI is ushering in a new business era. In the fall last year, there was about 74% who said AI will transform our industry. So good to see that number go up. Great, right? Helps us all if our leaders see that there's a big need, that there's a big opportunity. 60% of CIOs own AI as a strategic topic in their business. But yet only 44% of CEOs believe that the IT function is well prepared to lead AI and to bring people along, to get people AI ready. So pretty big disconnect. Right? Even on a leadership level, we need to raise that awareness. And I think also we have an opportunity to do that bottom up in some parts, right? Through the projects that we are working on, to manage expectations, to share what we've seen, that it's not plug and play. Very, very few times it is, right? Yes, we need data. We need good data. We need to invest in data. and get our data in order so we can use it to make good AI models and good AI projects. So readiness, again, needs to happen on all levels. To me, that starts with fundamentals. What is AI? Demystifying a little bit what you see in the news, what your peers see in the news. How does it work? Right? Still, in large cases, recognizing patterns, statistical probabilities, predicting the next word in a sentence. If you think of large language models, what can you actually use it for? Right? There are a couple common patterns: writing, getting assistance, summarizing, translating, writing code, things like that. And then getting hands-on, trying it out. Right? Depending on where your organization is, again, that might be more of the prompt trainings. How can we use these tools effectively and write better instructions and better prompts? How can we use these tools as thought partners, as brainstorming buddies, to come up with new ideas, to validate some of the things that we might have in our own experience and knowledge? But then also, as you move up the chain, if you're in a leadership role, right, encouraging your team members to go find these opportunities, to rethink, how are we doing this? Are we really doing this the right way? Do we really need all these steps? Are there some tools that have some kind of new technology, AI, agentic AI, what have you? And do these tools add meaningful value to what we're doing? So go try it out, right? If you have an enterprise-approved version of ChatGPT or Copilot, also empowering your team members to use it and ask, how are you using it? Can you share some of your best prompts and what you use it for? So maybe give space in a team meeting for some sharing. A couple of years ago, when I was at SAP, we built a community of practice for product managers and for engineers. And we wanted to help them learn more about machine learning at the time. So we said we want an engineer, a product manager from each of the different product lines, where we built finance software, supply chain software, sales software, and so on. So we built a curriculum, said, here are the things you need to know about machine learning, here are some resources, here are some tools, here's a platform you can use, a sandbox you can play in, and give us some feedback. What do you think about the curriculum? What do you think about the agenda? I said, yeah, that's fine. We can do some of those things on our own, but we feel we would get a lot more value out of conversation, right? Learning from others. What have you tried? What customers have you worked with? What data sets have you worked with? And how did that go? Right? Where was it super successful? And what did you do? And maybe from others, where wasn't it so successful? And why wasn't it so successful? Why did it take 6 months to get data from a customer? Why were we not able to get quality up to a certain level where we expected it? So what can we learn from it? So similarly, my encouragement to you is, whether you're an individual contributor or a leader, go share your learnings with your team members. As a leader, by the way, it can be pretty uncomfortable, right? If your team members are more skilled at using these tools than you are, but that's perfectly fine, right? We're all learning. Everybody's learning about this, and the best way that we can learn is learn from each other. Right? So share prompts, share ways that you're using tools, even if you use something outside of work, right? There's so many exciting tools for image generation, video generation, voice generation, and what have you. So maybe there are some things that you can bring into your business too. Right? It doesn't all have to be Copilot or ChatGPT or text-based things. I was having a conversation last night, and we were talking about AI avatars. Right? I don't know if any of you have seen these avatars that look like a human, or you can even create a replica of yourself, even with your voice. So think about things like trainings, right? If there are any trainings that you might record or share with your organizations and your teams, maybe there's no need to record them yourself anymore, but you can do it a lot more quickly and efficiently using AI, right? You punch in the text that you want this avatar to speak, almost like a hand puppet, right? Then you generate the video and off you go. And if there's a change 3 months down the line, you don't need to re-record the video. You just re-record the one section, and again, your hand puppet speaks something different then, right? Different version of the tool, different names, different process, what have you. So these could be ways how your business becomes more AI ready. in how you can become more AI ready. Like not just ChatGPT and Copilot. They're good starting points, good foundations, but sharing that more broadly. And then to me, the third point is basic AI literacy. Many of you have shared yesterday and today, well, we actually need to work on data literacy a lot in our business, and it's going to take some time. Well, guess what? We also need to work on AI literacy, which to me builds on data literacy as well. But I would say the slight distinction with AI literacy is what are all the ways that AI can help us? What are all the ways that we need to be aware of where things can go wrong, can go sideways, where maybe we might get convinced that something is real, but it just looks real, right? Because somebody generated an image or a video or a voice that sounds authentic, but something never happened, right? Misinformation is a big thing that comes to mind. But also understanding what are hallucinations. What happens when the model goes sideways, goes off the rails? How do you spot them? Right? More critical thinking. So in my university courses, I brought generative AI into management information systems classes, really hands-on. Last fall, about half of the students said they had used ChatGPT. This spring semester, about 4 weeks ago, I ran the same hands-on lab again, and about 95% said, yes, I've used it. So can we please move on and not talk about prompt engineering? Can you show us something else? Luckily, it's a two-part class, or a two-part lesson. So the next lesson, we created a video of a fake company. And we said, think about you're running a furniture business. You want to create a short ad. Use ChatGPT to write a short script for that video. Use Google Gemini to generate an image. And use an AI avatar tool like HeyGen or Synthesia to create a lifelike person that speaks the words that ChatGPT has just suggested. And you should have seen their eyes light up, like, I didn't even know that this was possible, right? So we also talked about, well, critical thinking. What do you see on TikTok? What do you see on social media that looks real, but might not be real? Right? So similarly, literacy, AI literacy in this day and age is critically important. And then maybe also you want to give your employees some credentials, right? We've seen these digital badges or certificates that you can post on social media and say, yes, now I've achieved this level. Maybe I'm an AI explorer. I know how to prompt. I know how to use these tools. I have a better understanding of what they can do and how I can use them in my business, how I can use them in my data role, how I can use them maybe in my HR or IT role. So also something where you can build different levels and say you can build different and higher levels of proficiency in using AI and using these tools. Right? I've seen companies, large global companies in life science, for example, go through similar programs. And they say, well, we have a bronze, silver, gold level of accreditation. You need to complete a certain number of trainings or certain hours of training on AI and generative AI to become more literate and to advance to the next level. And we want to have a certain quota of people with that level of proficiency. So something you can track as well. But I think a lot of times, right, giving credentials like that also incentivizes people to learn about things, to become more AI ready. I'm already at the bronze level, or I'm an AI explorer. What are you? Oh, I'm an innovator. I'm a strategist or something. Well, what else did you take? What other classes or what other courses? So thinking about building a curriculum as well. So like I said, question number 2, being AI ready, is there an quote-unquote AI for that? So what is something that you do on a daily basis? Maybe think about that for a minute or two. That's either highly repetitive or that you dread doing. I'm pretty sure there's some kind of AI feature, functionality, product that can help you do that. So thinking about what can I actually do in my business, how can I encourage my team members to think about this? And is there an AI for this? Is number 2 of 3 things for my recommendations getting AI ready. Now, there was a survey that the National Board of Economic Reporting, I think they're called NBER, ran in 2024. And it said, use of generative AI in business. Right? Maybe in your business, you don't see as many of your peers using AI yet, but a little over 39% of respondents said, yes, I use AI on a regular basis. I use it to do different things, whether it's writing emails or code or helping me brainstorm or review information. So pretty good number. 39% of people use AI on a regular basis. But then in a study by Slack in the fall, they said, well, 46% of employees actually are afraid to tell their manager that they use AI. Because, well, my manager might think I'm lazy, I'm incompetent, or I might just end up with a lot more work. Now I have 20% more time. Well, there you go, more work for you. So, not that encouraging, right? Also, by the way, to me, that speaks volumes about corporate culture, right? So, if you're a manager, again, encourage your team members to use AI. They're not lazy, they're not incompetent. They become better and faster at what they are doing. They're most likely getting better results than doing it without AI. That's the kind of culture we need. That's the kind of mindset we need to instill to become AI ready. If everybody uses it on the site but nobody tells you, it's really, really bad. Right? You're missing a lot of opportunity. You're missing the sharing, the learning from each other. What are things that you are using? Oh, I didn't think about that. Can you show me how you do that? I use it for this. I can show you how to do that. Right? So we get away from the 46% to hopefully a lot smaller number. So 39% say they're using it. 46% say, actually, I don't want to tell my manager. And then you have the other 31% who say, I don't want to do anything with AI. I don't want anything with AI. Leave me alone, right? And I think a lot of times that's the population that we need to spend a lot more time with and attention to. Right? Getting them on board, showing them that this is actually not that bad. No, it doesn't put you out of a job, right? We want to become AI ready. We want to learn about how do we use these tools and how can you become better at what you do. It's not that scary. It's not what you read in the news, right? It's not the AI won't take your job, but a person using AI will take your job. Nonsense. Right? So I think a lot of times we need to spend more time with the 31% and show them what can you actually do and encourage them. Again, you're not lazy, you're not incompetent, but I want you to share how you're using this. So, like I already shared, a good way to do this is to scale the adoption by thinking about a community of multipliers. So the way we did this in my previous role at SAP, like I said, was take a product manager, take an engineer from different business units, and put them together, a bit of a structured curriculum and information, and then ask them to go back to their organizations and talk about what they've learned. So kind of train the trainer, if you will. And ideally, that will trickle down in the organization for the multiplier. Right? They're seen as the most knowledgeable person on this topic. So if you have a question, go ask Bob, because he's part of this community. He always knows the latest and greatest. He has the best ideas of how to do this. If you're stuck, ask Bob. And if he doesn't know what to do, he has other people that he can ask, right? So it's all about reducing the 31% or the 46% and getting people more comfortable with the tools. Right? Maybe Bob can run a session just for finance, in the context of finance. What are we doing? How can we use AI differently or at all? Here's something that I've tried out, and it was super, super awesome, and I can share this with you. Right? It's all about building these multipliers so we can scale the adoption. Now, scaling adoption, like I said, doesn't just take the curriculum, doesn't just take some self-directed learning. Here are some videos, go watch them, and then you're an expert. You see a lot of companies do that too. It needs a mix of things. It needs a mix of classroom, virtual, or in-person training. You need to have the conversations. You need to have room for discussion. How are you using this? What did you find? Why was it so hard getting the data? Why wasn't it complete? Why wasn't it good? How did you fix this? How did you decide when was the right time to pull the plug on that project? What did you do to move it forward? So lots of these learnings. And learning in cohorts, I think, is a great way for people overall to get more comfortable with these topics. Now, if you've done AI projects, or if you've done any kind of project in a business, probably mainly the IT projects, you've seen something like this. Right? They're pretty straightforward. Start, finish, they have an end date, they have a project plan, we need to do this by then with these people, and this is the right sequence of things that we want to go through. But when you look at AI projects, they're a lot more complex, right? They're a lot more like research projects, and we have an hypothesis that we need to test, and we get some data, we try it out. It's not that great. We go back to the start. We maybe create another model. We see we're making some improvements, but anything but straightforward. Now, a lot of your leaders, a lot of your business stakeholders, they might not be familiar with that kind of project, right? That goes crisscross. They think a project is start, finish. Now, there's a lot of education that we need to do and that we can do, again, up towards our leadership, that it's a lot more research-driven, if you will, especially if it's core AI, if it's based on data, if it's not just prompting a model to spit out a new poem or a new product description or something. So we will have different iterations, and there's also a high risk that we might not get to a good result. But something that I've seen recently that I think is important too is that switch towards AI products. Right? We're not talking about projects that have a start date and an end date, but we talk about a product. Now, what's different with the product is that instead of the end date, you put the end user in the center. Right? What are we designing and for whom? What problem are we solving for whom? Projects are managed with a project plan. Products, I would argue, are managed with a roadmap. Right? They have a lot longer life cycle. There are iterations, there are new features that are coming out, there are things that we need to do to improve the product, to make it better, more robust, more complete. We get feedback from our users. Totally different mindset than building this once and throwing it over the fence for somebody else to maintain. Right? So thinking about AI as products, also in the conversations that we have with our more senior leaders as well. Now, obviously, there's no shortage of data in any business, right? You know that better than anyone else. But you probably also know that not only this is your data, but that too. So being asked to do AI, to build AI models on top of your data, when there's probably little awareness for what the data actually looks like, what data do we need, where do we get it from, how do we cleanse it, how do we make sure it's complete and fresh and accurate. Right? Two sides of the same coin. Yes, to do AI, we need data, but the data needs to be good, it needs to be trusted, it needs to be reliable. Big thing. So again, being AI ready also means having AI ready data in that sense. Now, a lot of leaders then ask, well, how can I be AI ready if actually nobody wants to invest in a data project? Right? My CIO says we have money, we have budget, we have funding, but only if it's AI. Well, data projects might not be that sexy at the moment, right? When everybody wants to talk about AI. But what I've seen many leaders be successful with is say, well, let's do a data project as a step 0 of the AI project. So let's get our data in order. Let's do something with the data that we have so we can use it for AI. My recommendation number 3, to becoming more AI ready. So what does AI ready mean? To me, it means 2 things. It means putting humans first in the work that we do, and then giving them the right tools to augment them in the way that they or that we do our work. So we can be AI ready and eventually help our company become AI first. So focus on people. How do we bring them along on this journey? How can we encourage them and empower them to use the tools that help us do better work, that help us be more creative, more efficient, more productive, and so on. What are the trends that are largely happening in the industry? We don't need to know every little detail that's happening on a daily basis. And then it always comes back to data, right? Making sure we have the right data, good data, and so on. So those are just some of the things. But like I said, if you love to learn more about how you can turn technology hype into business outcomes, I encourage you to pick up the AI Leadership Handbook. I have a couple copies available if you'd love to pick up a signed one. And would love to thank you for your attention this morning. So have a great rest of the conference.